Hey guys, so we're going to do a little VR inside of a Substance 3D modeler. And so I can kind of show you what this thing's about anyways when it comes to working in this program. A lot of people don't fully understand like what it's capable of or how you would use it anyways. And so first, this is like a lump of clay in your hand basically. So that's literally kind of what they call it, clay. Now it's not really a awesome sculpting tool necessarily, but it's a really capable 3D modeler. You do lose a little bit of fine control over some things because of just the way it works, but it's really good for concepting. And so I thought some of you might like to see this, but basically, you have different ways of working with things. You have like symmetry, which will just kind of mirror something across the axis here. But you can also do things like repetition. So if I create something over here, it'll be over there. But later on, when we grab this object and we want to move it around or whatever the case, it's like a mirror modifier with Blender, basically. So it's really, really good in that sense. For now, we're just going to start with symmetry, not repetition. I'm going to lower the resolution a bit, add some roundness, a fillet to it. I call it fillet. Uh, you know, debate in the comments about which one it is, but basically, like, it's not as simple as you think it is. Like, you can kind of draw in 3D with it. Like, that's the main idea. Is like, um, it's very capable of just doing all kinds of crazy shapes. You can use like a smooth tool to just go through here and kind of have fun with it. And so I've been eyeballing doing things in VR for a little while, but originally when I bought Modeler here, it was just about playing with Boolean shapes. That's all I cared about using it for. So, but you can see you can switch between a subtraction or addition, and you can think of this as like it's basically voxel modeling. It's an SDF based primitive shape, signed distance field, and then you can work it out from there into really cool things, perhaps if you wanted to. So you can do all kinds of cool little shape changes and edits, and have a lot of fun with it. And the more you dive into this program, the more you realize it has all kinds of just different cool little features. Like we do have grid snapping in here, so you could, in theory, try to create modular kits. Perhaps I know there's some people that do that. I don't fully understand the process just yet because I don't understand exactly how the grid setup works. But there's also like angle snapping. So like if you just want to keep things perfectly straight, this is really really good. Well, perfectly straight at different angles, anyways. And then so you can have a lot of fun with this for sure, and just like snap out different details and smooth them down a little. And it's very good for concepting. It's just really, really good for concepting. And there's a lot of people that are just doing absolutely extraordinary work with it. And it's more capable of doing things than I realized at first, even when I first bought it. Now, of course, I was trying this out back when it was in a beta, um, but I was using the desktop version, and I still didn't quite grasp fully like what it was all about. And so we're gonna turn that angle snap off though, so you can get a lot more experimental with things here. And you don't have to use the angle snap like that necessarily. But yeah, I mean, we can just have fun with it, and we can just start like a new shape maybe. Maybe we don't have symmetry on this one, and we use that's in the way. Get it out of the way. We can use a like a sphere. You can see it's like just click again. It resets it, same as hitting reset. We can do this. We can dump the resolution down a little bit. So the sphere, we can do like wires and stuff with this. And because of the way VR controllers work, of course, um, we have. Whoop! I hit the mic. Sorry, guys. But if we do, we have six different directions we can move. Right. So it's literally like drawing in 3D. It's not like grease pencil drawing in 3D. It's even better than that. And we can just play around with ideas and come up with things, and just really go to town here. Maybe try not to intersect our pieces here. We could always just start a new piece um, real quick just by selecting the clay tool again and keep these separated maybe. So if I mess up, I can nudge them around. You see what I'm getting at here? You're like, how would you nudge this around? Well, unfortunately, you have a warp tool, but this is as good as it gets as far as nudging things goes right now. You can turn hardness up or down perhaps, and you can see we can get in here, and we can just kind of play around with the shape a little bit. It's a little bit too small right now, so let's knock that up in size a little. And yeah, we might get away with some stuff like this. A little hard to do, and I wouldn't say it works 100% in every situation, but it's just well enough that you can get things done, basically, right? So we have this shape created, this shape's created. I wouldn't necessarily combine those two together, but you can group things, right? So you can see we can create a group from selection, boom. And so now we actually have a hierarchy panel over here somewhere. Oop. Yeah, okay, we are using steady. That's good. Nope, outliner right here. There's our group. There's our objects. So thumbstick left, up and down is going to go to the group, and then you can focus on. You can see we're using it as like a little pointer. Basically, we can kind of key in on different things and just work on just those objects. Thumbstick back out, and we can jump to another object now. And we can go to town. We can do not only just booleans or these little things here, the clay eraser they call it, and not only can we do the subtractions this way, but we can do splits as well, and we can also do actual booleans later on if needed. But splits are rather interesting because you can do, I don't know, let's try something right here real quick. Just split it apart, right? And we can grab this later and scale it and move it in. And let's say we want to move, but this is kind of off at a weird rotation now. We can reset the shape so the rotation goes back. In our case, it didn't work out quite the way I was hoping it would. But we can use parent space or global space as well when working with these things. In both cases here, I guess we're just not having any luck. Oh no, it is actually lined up. Our object's really crooked. Whoops. Okay, I guess it was working fine. So that's that. And, just grab this, move it around. We can use the gizmo. We can do freehand placement. We also have a surface one. When using certain tools, you can do surface, right? Like this. So if we use a warp tool now and we set this up and we want to do something like pull this out, for example. And because we have, you see what I'm saying? Like this program is a lot more capable than you probably realize. I guess that eats away into it. I didn't realize it did that. That's kind of interesting. Tons of different ways of using it. It's just really cool. It's really interesting to kind of get in here and play around with it and try out ideas. You can smooth that back down maybe. Whoop, the smooth tool is huge right now. Yeah, it's just fun stuff like that. So it gets better though, I promise you, because like you can take any shapes, select them both using a little arrow, and you can merge them, of course. Done, right? And so if you want to just like keep building for a bit, you can do that. We'll reset that one at a fillet to it. We can also come in here. We can kind of like lock things into place. So like we kind of want this in this position at this angle. We got all set up, but we realize our shape's kind of the wrong size or something. We switch to gizmo and we can do something like this. And so we can extend it as needed, and we can use the right stick up and down to just change the scale real quick. And so certain things, this might be useful to you. I'm going to do a subtraction here, and we could just click, boom, done. We're not, oh, we are doing symmetry, I think. Okay, yeah. All right, that's good. I didn't realize we were scoped out, but yeah, we can mirror symmetry there. See? All right, so there's certain, and you can turn it back off when needed. And so if you ever need like finer control, you can just kind of like lock it in place, basically. Switching to gizmo real quick and adjust as needed if you need to. And no, add or subtract, whatever you got to do. And so it's really, really fun. Like after you start realizing what you're capable of doing with this, I mean, you can just, switch shapes, adjust them real quick, some basic little edits, maybe you add a little chamfer to it and less fillet. And you just say like, I want to do additions, change the sizes here, or whatever the case. And maybe we just want to do something like this instead, because it looks a little bit nicer that way. Maybe we want it perfectly aligned. And right now you can see it's not perfectly aligned. So we can switch to gizmo. We can right thumbstick, push it down, it resets the rotation. Okay. In our case here, you can see our rotation. It's like so. We can click this, pull it out, and it becomes more accurate. Or on the left stick, hold down the button, and you can go ahead and snap it like so. And so you can do all kinds of fun stuff like this, like it's nothing, and start making whatever kind of shapes and objects you want, basically. Really complex things, perhaps. You can see we kind of went through the mesh here. Probably not a good thing necessarily. Unfortunately, we can't recall like that Boolean shape all that well. But it doesn't mean we can't, just try to freehand place something in here real quick about aligned up to it and get it just about right. That stick is a little bit sensitive sometimes, but you can see like we could try getting this going again and just pull it on out. It's about the right diameter. And we can get some little finer control going. And you can see, oh, we're at the wrong rotation here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off for a second and try this again with it bigger like this. I just want it somewhere in there like that. Scale it up a bit. Maybe we'll chip away a little. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. There you go. We got it a little bit cleaner at least. So really good for experimenting, forms, shapes, all that fun stuff. And yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit here. If you want to lock this, when you see like this messes up our cylinder shape. So if you ever want to scale it, hold the left trigger at the same time. You can go in and out with it really fast, and then just use the thumbstick to do the rest of it. So you could just, change the height basically. And now, we can go through this object. We didn't have it selected. So obviously, we're creating new objects now. This isn't always the most terrible thing. Sometimes it's nice to have new objects. But yeah, we can definitely go through and try out things like this. And you can see it's very low res. So it's kind of hard to see it, but here, let's do this. You see it's low res. So before we start doing those, let's up the resolution a bit. I think it might help us. And yeah, so we can just erase that real quick. And then we'll stamp it back in. All right. And we could do that all day long. Not a big deal. We can use a cube. Yeah, sometimes the shapes, if you're not careful, when you pull up the menu, it's like in your way. Or even the object itself. But yeah, we can go around with the shapes now and just set them up however we see fit. And then change their sizes and the way they behave. And maybe we want to do something like this. So maybe we lock it. And we can finally adjust it. Maybe reset it even. In our case, because I'm working at that weird angle, it's always going to do this nonsense like this. There is the option of using the parent as well. In our case, I don't think the parent even helps us. Yeah, so I mean, we'll just go with local. But, nothing that stops you from, trying your best to get it just the way you want it. And you can see that rotation tool. You do see like the indication of the front edge, like a front line there. So you can get these things pretty precise by pointing in the right direction. And yeah, I mean, literally, that's a possibility. We could do that. We could, change that shape down in size a little, right? And then we can turn it the other way, pull it down. Maybe do something like that, right? And then we could do that and just stamp it in there. Turn off the gizmo, make it a subtract. Boom. Just give it a little chamfer on that edge there. Cool, right? So yeah, it's very exploratory, I would say. And once again, there are we're going to do repetition now. It's like the mirror modifier. So anything we do over here will eventually end up over there. It's a little bit confusing at first because if you select this, you work on this one. If you select this, you can work on that one. Okay, I wasn't used to that behavior at first. I was confused why it was acting the way it was. It does take some time to get used to this program, but ultimately it's totally worth it. And even if it's like not something that you plan on creating like an actual production model in, although some people are using it to create like nanite meshes. If you're not planning on taking a like a game model or something all the way through, it's really good for concepting and doing like paint overs on concepts. Um, or even just taking straight into substance and painting them up. There's like a lot of just like usage that you can get out of something like this. Um, and because it's the way the view works, like you hold both of the little bottom sticks or the little triggers down there or whatever, you can like blow up your object to like the size it should be and see it almost like if you're making something really large, and you can see it like that. So that's always kind of interesting in my opinion. What is the resolution here? Yeah, that's very low. What's up? I'm also, when I'm resin here, I'm using smooth. There's other options, and this is, yeah, linear and smooth and shape detection. I think smooth works the best personally, but you can experiment with that one if you want. And we can free sketch this whole time too. So it's not like we're stuck here. Like we can just, we don't like something, just chop it off, and this is better if you do it at lower resolution, generally speaking, but maybe not. Depends on what you think or feel about it anyways, how you want to work with it. And it's just, the more you work with it, the more you realize it can do. Like when we go back to that warp tool, we set the sphere and we turn the hardness all the way down perhaps. And right now it's using surface. Let's use gizmo or no, freehand, and we make it a little bit larger. We can grab most of this shape back here and we can pull it out like this and stretch it out, and it's going to kind of remesh it real quick. So you can make a lot more interesting stuff than you realize, especially if you want to do deformation on it. I mean, it's really just, it's I would say it's a voxel sculpting program of sorts. It doesn't really feel like you're sculpting per se though, and it's just so cool to be able to do this, like shape form explorations, right? Now, of course, you can do kind of similar process inside of Blender, but you have to manually remesh every time. And I don't think the remesh does as well on these pieces in Blender because these are being smoothed by volume, or actually by SDF, from my understanding, that sign distance fields, and it's trying to preserve the shape as best as it can. So that's just cool to look at now. Like it's really interesting when it's nice and large. And so what can we do, right? Well, let's do a Boolean actually. So we'll kind of do a Boolean and then maybe in this video after, but we'll sketch a little with this ellipsoid here, and we'll reset it. And we'll turn on symmetry for this one as well since we're at it. And also what we're going to do is turn the resolution down quite heavily. So like we were doing, like you can do like, things like this, right? Cool. But we want to do that and have it just about where we need it to do that. We're going to try doing like a fill inside of this shape. Oh, I just hit my mic. Sorry, guys. And we're going to try doing something like this. We're going to split this into different parts. Okay. And I wanted to make it a little bit more of a complex split so you guys can kind of see what's going on here. And I can make this smaller for now so we get this done a little faster maybe. But I want to do like a little filled area in here. So all of this is selected and it will be split out basically. And when I have like a nice smooth kind of cut going through here, and doing that with the sphere is probably bad. A rounded cube would probably work better. A somewhat heavily rounded one. And a little bit more like this. You can kind of see if we're lined up or not. We turn it into a cutter. You see, like we can do things like this. And that's going to be pretty good. I think, let me scope out a second. You can hide an object, select it, left trigger on the right stick, eye icon, right? Hide, boom. I'm trying to think I'm going to split somewhere in here and go back up that way, right? So let me try to do well, attempt to do that, I guess. If we left trigger, we'll have the eye icon back. We can just unhide it. It's like that. So select the object, go back. We're going to use the eraser again, and we're going to try our best to get this right. We might have to use the warp tool in order to kind of like nudge this back into place correctly, but we'll find out in a second. All right. Okay. We're pretty close. It's not too bad. Yeah, something like that. So that's a rather interesting split. It's not maybe the easiest thing to do, you know, but it's definitely, it's interesting to say the least. Let's put one down the middle too, like this. Something like this. Let's see if I got that right on the top here. Ooh, we might have got it. Not quite. That's a pretty big piece. It's kind of a awkward addition here. But let's try it one more time. Like this. We can get a good angle. Maybe we can do this. Maybe something like that. Okay, so I want to smooth this shape out a little bit, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to down res it. And then I'm going to up res it one time. And it should smooth it out a little bit. And if I need it smoother, you know, of course I down res more and then up res it. And we'll get some nice soft shapes in here. Really cool little trick. And now we can just reset this cube because it's ridiculous. But now that we've done that, we can scope out down and up on the left thumbstick. Will let you scope in and out, right? But we got this here. So we select this object, go to our menu. There's a Boolean menu, clay Booleans. And we can do subtracts, intersects, and splits. And we can do unions as well, which is kind of pointless. I want to point out why this is pointless, though. Because, like, let's say I was doing a quick cube on this shape here. And I want to just round it out, fillet it, and maybe I do a little... this other one's in the way, but let's just do it down here then. And we'll bump it up a little bit. Let's just say I'm doing something right here. Like that, right? Oops, excuse me. Undo that. Left stick to undo. Don't have anything selected. Create a new shape. That's what we need to do. You got to reselect the clay tool. And I'm going to lock it. Click here. Hit the little stamp button on the right stick. You'll see it's very bumpy. Unfortunately, when I undo, it does that number. I don't know why. But anyways, let's go back to clay. Sometimes it does goofy things. I think they're bugs and they'll eventually get worked out. But for now, it's just one of the goofy things it might do. And I really need the resolution up. Unfortunately, I can't really see a resolution that it's going to use. So I'm just going to bump it up twice. It's going to be a little bit smoother that way, but if I undo it, it might switch my thing around again. So, all right, I don't like what it's doing. Let's lock it in kind of place by using gizmo. Click, and then use the button. It's not quite in the right spot. This is what's great about doing it like this as a separate object. You just go back, select it, if you can get a hold of it, and use the gizmo. Maybe just pull it out a little. It's using local space right now, so not quite moving the way I would want it to, but it's all right. That's because I created everything at a weird angle anyways. But that's my fault. We could try to reset it and get it going right. And we'll probably do that here in a second. We'll see. Anyways, so that's a separate object, right? This is the whole reason I was doing this. This is a separate object. If we just select that one and this one, we can go in here and we can just merge. So that's more or less like a Boolean union. It's done, you know, so like, if you're ever curious, that's the faster way of doing it. This one, though, we're doing a Boolean split. All right, it's going to show up like so. And unfortunately, you have to kind of click apply on it like this to actually perform it. It's going to affect everything it touches, though. Unless, I don't know if you hide them. I haven't tried it out yet. If you hide them, it might not. But I know if you group them, it should stay within the group, I believe. So something along those lines. And remember, you do have the outliner, so you can tweak groups and stuff like that if you need to. But we're going to grab that, and we're just going to go ahead and click apply. You'll hear it does its thing. This object now, you can either delete or hide it, up to you. I'm just going to delete it for now. Now we have this cut here like so. These here and this, maybe we want to, I don't know, we can just group them for now. So we'll just go ahead and create a group. So you can see we split it out basically. This shape is really crazy the way when we're looking at it like this. So, there's just all kinds of stuff you can do. And maybe we should split the bottom too by the looks of it. So because we got like 2 splits going. I didn't quite make the shape I needed, but it's pretty close, right? It's not too far off. And so when you take these ones, if you down res it once or twice and you up res it once, it's going to create a little bevel, little seam. And oops, that one was too high. Let's take that down a bit. It's better not to go too high on these, on the base shapes, and only go high on your details. Well, go as high as you need on your details. But yeah, anyways, I think you get the idea at this point. Like, we can just have a lot of fun with this. We can create all kinds of cool, interesting stuff, do some really cool shape form explorations, play around with just all kinds of things, basically. So, we want to do like cylinders, for example. We've been playing around with this one and this one. Let's do surface placement. You can see you can also do this one if we wanted to as well. So this one's really fun to do this. You just go around and knock in some little circular type pieces like so. If you want to change the depth of these, I believe it's a little tricky. You can see I can change the size here, but on the surface it's a little bit weird. You might want to, and you might want to try resetting your shape, doing whatever you got to do. And I believe this influences how it behaves, but it's always going to go to like the midpoint when you use it. So you're going to do this, and then you can switch to surface, and now it'll be more or less what you want, but it's only going to go to that midpoint of that. So you can kind of control the depth. It's a little bit challenging, but it's definitely something you can do. So, and just because we should, I think we're going to talk about doing, we'll do freehand placement for now. You can see like the way it's set up on this controller, it's actually kind of hard to use it this way, right? You can also grab this piece, left trigger, and then, kind of twist it and warp it around as needed. If something's just a little bit out of control, you can do that. And you can add some really cool, like, little details all over the place, basically. Maybe you want like a little wheel in here or something. I don't know. I will go with that for now. Why not? Maybe this has like a bigger cylinder going to stick out the side of it later. Try weird angles out too, man. Don't just get in this habit of like doing the same thing over and over. I don't know if it's worth it sometimes. But all right. So let's talk about arrays real quick. I'm not going to cover the radial one for this video. This one gets a little tricky because you have to use groups in order to start to get it to work the way you want, where you can do like one detail and have it radial array around another object. So it's a little tricky process. But the one I do want to cover is going to be like, let's say like we need something to do. Let's say like we want to do this shape here. We want to create something like a vent in the middle in this area. So I'm going to turn symmetry off for a second. And this shape, I'm going to use the gizmo placement. I'm going to reset it by right thumbstick resetting it. So it's going to reset the rotation. Let's reset the location too. So it's in the center. Now we can pull it up here. And we can adjust it as needed. I'm going to down scale the whole thing, so I want it to be more like so. Maybe we can rotate it a little towards us. And you got to remember, when you're using a VR headset, all of this is 3-dimensional. So it's really cool. If you pull this one, hold the left trigger, you can do both. Okay. And it's very fast and very good for iteration and testing out ideas. It's really good for this. But we could do something like this maybe. I think it's a little high res. We're going to take it down just a bit. And so that's pretty good. Now we're going to stamp it once so that we have the object, right? I can use the warp tool. Warp tool you'll find extremely useful time and time again, I think. I do want to turn on symmetry for this, mirror symmetry. Because if I want to try to see where I'm at, see if I can just warp. It'd be nice if I could warp with like, I guess we do have a pill shape. Can we adjust the shape of this much? I don't know. Change the size, I guess. This might also work. So we might be able to get right there in the center. Very carefully. I'm just trying to warp it into position. The backside doesn't really matter as much. But I wanted something a little bit different. So maybe we... Oh, wrong one. There we go. Maybe we try to just grab it. And we'll do it too much, like you would use like proportional edit in Blender, maybe. I'm not going to get this quite right, am I? We could also use gizmo placement with the warp tool. So keep in mind, you can always switch to the other ones, right? You can reset this. You can see it actually lines up to it, which is nice. Probably should have did this earlier. We can actually click the stamp button first and then click the axis. This is what I want right here. There we go. So we don't need that no more. Let's use the select tool. Or you can just, key in on it real quick. But yeah, selects what we want. And what we want to do is maybe start up here. And we are going to, we're going to drag this thing out. So we're going to click here so it's moving. And we're going to hold down left trigger. Move it out this way. Don't let go of left trigger. And you can use the left thumbstick. If you move it to the left, it'll fill this area in. If you had moved it to the right, what you'll see is that it will go outwards. Okay, so it goes in two directions. But yeah, we could put it all the way out here, perhaps. Like so. And maybe keep it flat, maybe pull it up. I mean, it's up to you. It's really up to you. I'm going to pull it down here, somewhere about there, I think. And maybe something like that. Okay, these are all separate objects, right? So that could be good, but I want to merge these. So we're going to just go ahead and merge them. So I can use my warp tool again. And let's use the sphere. I think it'll work better. We'll place it towards the back side here in the center, right? I'm holding down my other move tool. It's kind of messing me up. All we want to do is like go out towards the front, really. And very carefully, we can click the stamp button, rotate. Oh, you can see it's what it's doing. It's rotate. We're going to warp the whole thing. Not what we want. So undo that. We want to isolate this one. So up on the left stick. We want to just do that piece, right? I want the curve, nothing else. Like, not much else matters to me at this point. I just want the curve. Little tricky on that one, I would say. Doable, but yeah, just a little tiny bit tricky. And you can also try to do that free-handed. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you want to just try clicking in here and doing this. I think what I would end up doing, though, by accident, is not getting it right. You see, like, we need to start way out here, maybe. And tweak that last spot. And then if you try to, like, nudge just the middle and then nudge this side, you might get away with that. Sometimes that doesn't go as well as you probably think it should. But yeah, so we can do things like that, too. So that's really cool. It's a separate object, so, you can go back and kind of nudge it around and do whatever you got to do. These pieces like this, too. Some of them, like this one, it's too much concave stuff going on. So you can't really scale it down and get a whole lot out of it. Sometimes you can. Like, actually, that's not too bad. But a lot of times when you separate something, you can just kind of scale it around. And it ends up being pretty cool by the end of it if you do that. Anyways, so, but yeah. Oh, once you, let me undo. Why is it not undoing? Uh, can't go back. There we go. That's, I don't know what's happening there. All right. Once you've done this though, let's like use a pill shape real quick. And we might want to reset that pill shape. We'll go ahead and make it a freehand type deal. Uh, whoops, wrong thing. Reset it. I'm going to scale it, hold left trigger, scale it down. So we can use this in various areas as well as a little subtraction, like so. So you can do some fun little edits like that, perhaps. Um, and you know, use other shapes as well. But if you need it like bigger, um, you know, make it whatever size you need. Tap it in. It's pretty much the name of the game with this little detail. And yeah, so that's it, guys. What do you think about this program now that you've seen it demoed in this manner? Now, unfortunately, we didn't make anything like super, super cool here. Um, we'll probably do some time lapses of stuff like that in the future, and I'll just talk about what was going on with it. But yeah, you definitely can. You can forward stick. You see how it changes the tip when you're trying to select something or scope in on it. I don't care for that, so I move these back usually because that's really annoying. I just want to be able to select that piece there, get out, select there, right, and then key in on it again and just bump that out maybe. That went better. I think it went better when I was just thinking what it would do. I don't think it worked out too well, but anyways, yeah. So if you got a VR headset already, definitely worth checking out the software. It's a lot of fun. There's other options, of course, um, like reality sketch or whatever, but gravity sketch. Sorry, not reality sketch. But the thing is that you know, this is still like I was the whole reason I got this was because I was watching well not because of that entirely that I was watching guys work in 3D code and I just really liked what they were doing, right? I like the voxel sculpting. I like it in Blender. It just doesn't perform well enough in Blender. And it just needs a little bit more performance to get the kind of things going the way I want. And also, it just needs to have a little bit better remeshing, perhaps, and smoothing kind of automatically and whatnot. But um, what guys were doing in 3D code was really awesome, I thought. When I was watching them kind of working on things the way they were doing it. And so I had already played with this program a little bit. I liked what it was capable of, so I wanted to experiment with it more. As a desktop app, even not even as a VR application, just to play with shapes and forms and stuff like that. And turns out it works pretty well. Even better for VR, obviously, but still pretty neat. So I wanted to do that, and then we'll erase with a cube, and we'll just scale that out. We'll give them all like a straight cut, maybe across the tops here. Yeah, and I don't really like that shape either. What if we do that? Nah, let's just get it right from the start. So we can go ahead and try my best here to get a good angle. I'm also looking at the back side, trying to figure out what I'm doing as far as that goes. All right, let's do one more thing. We'll end the video, guys. We'll do some cylinders. I'm going to change anything else on them. I'm just going to quickly place these in here. Carefully, I guess. Not far enough on that one. Let's go a little bit further. Make that one a little bit bigger. And be careful with that one because it gets kind of carried away when you change sizes on it. Now we did make these completely flat, so we could just use the gizmo for this as well. Sometimes it doesn't feel worth it though. Like that one's way off actually. Sometimes it's kind of more fun to do it free-handed. Not that one though. I have my arms sitting on the my chair, so it's kind of like I get a little bit more stable when I do that. But otherwise, it feels very unstable sometimes. Yeah, overall interesting. I would say it's like a really killer um, model right now, but it's definitely on its way. And, you get carried away. It's like before you know it, you killed your um, VR batteries, and it's just it's gonna die on you unless you plug them in. Basically, we're gonna do one more thing real quick. Kind of lock it, reset it. Oh, you know what? We can't reset these like that, can we? So we're gonna use the setup here to kind of get it right. We're just gonna make like a little idea of an antenna of some sort. We'll do one, just like a big single piece coming out. These cylindrical shapes we can taper. You can see it's tapering on the wrong side. If we were to grab one of these move handles here, and then we left trigger, or excuse me, not yet. We can't do it yet. It needs to be an object first. Okay, so we can flip this. I think we can flip it while we're working on it. I think, but we're gonna create this as a new object first. So we just clay stamp it back out of it so it's selected. Now we click here. Now you can see we got flip here. We move in the direction we want to do this. So you can see like these two line up. We want to flip front to back. Boom. It's now narrow up here instead of back there. So we're good. A little bit odd in VR to do that. It's way easier on desktop. You can just do it like in holding control and clicking on those arrows, which is a lot faster. We'll talk about this program in desktop a little bit later on. It's definitely still very useful. You can put it to use anyways and have a lot of fun with it. So if you ever want to model some stuff like this and just have a lot of fun, this is a program for it. It's definitely definitely something you'll want to play around with, I think, ultimately. And you want to have like that last final step where you maybe upres it a little bit more. It just kind of creates a little bit of a nicer, smoother surface. And this mesh, if you do try to process it, you can pretty much retopo it real quick in Blender. Not a big deal. Um, you could use the voxel mesh for nanite, and you could decimate it quite extensively. But this is a real curvy surface object. It might not decimate very well. So, yeah, doing a retopo would probably be the way to go, I think. It just depends on your use case, I think, what you're creating and how you want to use it and everything else. So, yeah, kind of cool. Okay, one last thing. I know I keep saying that. One last thing. Get carried away here. We got a bunch of objects we want to select, so we can just hold down the select button. Then hold down trigger. Try to get the rest of it, maybe. Yeah, we'll get even that piece. So if we take this and we group it real quick, we should have only one object now, right? And this is great. We can even freehand place it. But we can do link instance, make link. That just makes it when you duplicate it, it'll create an instance basically. So now, next time you grab this and you hit left trigger while moving it, it's a duplicate that's linked. Okay, so if you want to go pose this somewhere and have like spaceships flying around or something like that, whatever the case, when you scope in now on this one or that one even, and you do an edit, it's a link duplicate basically. It's an instance. And so let's reset that shape real quick. And so if we were to subtract a little piece here, you see it updates over there. That's all I'm pointing out there is you can do that number like that. And if you ever feel the need that you want to like break this one out later on, I believe you can just unlink it, clicking that. Yeah, that's it. So really cool. Not a bad deal. And we'll play around with this app more in the future, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It's a lot of fun. We'll definitely take this to a higher and higher level for concepts and things like that. We'll play around with just, especially in time lapse, because a lot of the modeling tools are real simple. So time lapses of just doing things is, I think, more important to some degree. You can see we got these little bits here. Because I don't know, maybe we can actually select them. Maybe they're new objects. Huh. What else is connected to it? I don't know. Delete it. Bye. All right. It's gone. All right. So what do you guys think? Pretty cool, right? All right. I'll check you out on the next one. Hope you enjoyed this video. Take care, guys.